Lately, I have been so angry. I have been filled with so much feminine rage. It has been all encompassing. The level of fury that is suffocating my system on a daily basis has become almost unmanageable, okay? And I know that I am not alone in this feeling. I wholeheartedly believe that this is an essence that is being activated in all of the divine feminines right now. I truly believe that all of us are waking up to just how pissed off we are at so many things. And it's not like we have a very short list to pull from, honey. We have got a very long list of reasons to be incredibly pissed off. Nay, furious. And like I said, for me, it's been all encompassing. Difficult to manage the level of anger that I have felt, but I have been allowing it to communicate to me what I am passionate about, what it is that it wants me to know, what it is guiding me to. And the trees agree. And lately, it has been guiding me to exploring feminine deities that represent the necessity of embodying your feminine rage and utilizing it as a power tool. A couple weeks ago, I was guided to learn more about Aphrodite, who beautifully represents this. She is an embodiment of not only this gorgeous, soft femininity, but the need to lean into your intensity. She is the goddess of beauty and war, and that duality was incredible to explore, giving me permission to balance those same energies within myself. And exploring her story led me to wanting to explore the story of Gaia, Mother Earth herself. So these last few days, I have been diving deep into understanding Gaia, Mother Earth, her story, her origin, her energy, and the message that she has for us as divine feminines, what she wants us to know, what she wants us to be activated within right now, how we can embody these lessons. You know, like Aphrodite and so many other divine feminine deities, Mother Earth often gets misconceived as this very soft, flowers in the hair, skipping through a field kind of energy. And I'm not saying that divine feminine earth power doesn't have part of that too. But after learning more about her true essence, Mother Earth is terrifying in the best way. She is ancient. She is maternal. She represents fertility and decay. She is the creator and the destroyer. It is birth and death, okay? Gaia represents ancient feminine power before the patriarchy came and fucked it all up, okay? And I wholeheartedly believe that while we don't really see this yet, I really think the patriarchy is crumbling. I think it's time. I think everything about the shift that we are at in the collective, all structures that no longer serve the highest expression of our living experience, have to crumble to the ground right now. And a masculine dominated experience, a patriarchy, is just not natural to nature. So in this very necessary crumbling, again, I know it's hard to believe because we still look around and it's very much active, unfortunately. The pendulum, it will swing. It will swing back in our favor and it will swing hard. It is not a soft shift that is happening, okay? And that is the most important takeaway that I have learned as I have been embodying and understanding Gaia, and I will share this with you. That in this very potent shift in humanity, something I'm very, very excited about. Because shit's not working, friends. Shit's not working. It's time for a change, okay? I am so empowered witnessing other feminines just rise to their essence, rise to who the fuck they are, realizing and remembering who they are, and walking in that power every day. There is nothing that fills me with more joy than witnessing that, and even more so, nothing that fills me with more joy than activating that in others, okay? Because like I said, it is time for us as the feminine to rise up and take our claim, reclaim our power. And deities like Gaia are the ones that give us permission to do so. Okay, so let's explore her. Let's explore her story. Don't just listen to me rant and rave about the shitty patriarchy that we live in and why I feel so called to sharing with you guys all of this information to be embodied and understood. Now, the actual name Gaia is Greek. It is the Greek terminology for the Mother Earth essence. Across the span of every single culture, there is an embodiment of this Mother Earth essence, the Earth Mother herself. The Greeks were definitely not the first. They were one of the first to document their worshipping of Gaia, of Mother Earth. But Greek mythology and Greek culture was very influenced by a lot of North African cultures, Mesopotamia, all of that shit. So I will continue to use the name Gaia because I like it. I think it's cute. But just know that this essence is found in so many ways in so many cultures. I'm going to put some pictures up because I am going to butcher the names. All right, so I think it's just easier for y'all to read and see. But according to the Theogony of Hesiod, and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing all of those words wrong, Gaia emerged spontaneously from chaos, the energy and essence of chaos. Now, according to the Theogony, in the beginning of time, all that existed was chaos, Gaia, Tartarus, which is just another word for like the void, black space, empty space, and Eris, which is like the primordial life force. But first and foremost was chaos, which I think is kind of an interesting way to describe where existence all came from, to use the word chaos. Because if you try to describe what the creator essence is, what the energy, source energy is, and where we all stem from, it's very complex. So using the word chaos, I understand. And I love that Gaia just randomly spawned from the essence of chaos. Now, as soon as she emerged, that bitch got to work, okay? She created mountains. She created the sea. She created the sky. She even created gods that represented the sea and the sky. Uranus, for example, the god of the sky. I love the fact that this woman, this being, this deity, emerged from chaos. She was self-generating feminine creation. She made all of this creation with no man, honey, okay? She did all of that without a partner, bitch. Now, after she made Uranus, she also put him to work, okay? He was technically her son, but he was also her consort, and in some mythology, her lover. There's some gray area in that situation. But for the sake of this story, I'm going to call him her business partner. They created all kinds of stuff. We are talking some of the most terrifying creatures in mythology. They created the Titans, Cyclops, 100-head giants that go by a name that I will never be able to pronounce, but I will put right here. They created furries, sea gods. They got creative, honey. If you can think of it, they probably made it. But here's the thing. A lot of those things are a little scary, okay? And Uranus thought so too. Uranus got scared of all of his creations, so what did he do? Like any man, he imprisoned their creations. He imprisoned their creations in Gaia's womb. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Yeah, so naturally this enraged Gaia. Bitch was furious. Some of this feminine rage we might be feeling right now. Because how dare you imprison her children in her womb? Now, where the womb is open to interpretation, but the way that I came to understand it is Earth itself is her womb. The entire planet is her womb. So the way that I understood the story was that he imprisoned them on Earth. But not for long, honey, because Gaia was mad enough to say, who wants to overthrow their father? And overthrow they did, okay? Because one of her Titan sons took a sickle that she gifted him with and castrated Uranus. The story might sound familiar if you learned a little bit about Aphrodite with me last week. Because when his dick and balls fell into the ocean, out popped Aphrodite. And this is where those generational cycles, that feminine rage, and that beauty born from destruction starts to come into play. Are you seeing? Are you picking up what I've been putting down? So what do we learn from this story? Because I'll tell you what my takeaway is. My takeaway is that the punishment for injustice, specifically to the feminine, is castration. That's what my takeaway was. All on board? But really and truly, I think that there is something to be said about when motherhood becomes monstrous when violated. I think that that's one of the most powerful essences on this planet Earth. And I think if there is ever a time to awaken that in all of us, it is now. It's the same strength that you see a mom lift a car up off her child when something happens. There is nothing more powerful than when a woman or a feminine being stands up and uses her fullness, especially for the sake of justice. Especially for the sake of justice. No, but what does that actually look like? What does that embodiment actually look like on a day-to-day basis? Because we can't just walk around here cutting people's dicks off all the time. Can we? No, we can't. We can't, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there are consequences for those actions, just not other people's actions. But I digress. Personally, I think everybody is different. I think everybody can explore what that essence feels like and looks like for them. But for me, and for what I have learned about Gaia and her essence, her personality, her embodiment, is that it looks a lot like staying grounded in a spiritual practice that allows you to stay connected to your full power. It looks like It looks like being confident in your sensuality and knowing that your sexual essence is also a superpower. It is ancient, slow moving power. It is knowing that this power has existed for generations and generations, centuries and centuries. For me, it's also allowing myself to be intimidating, allowing myself to be a little scary. And I know that seems kind of crazy because you're looking at me like, girl, you're not scary. You would think not. You would think not. But I have an extensive life history of people being inexplicably intimidated by me. And that's always been something about me that was an insecurity. I never quite understood why people can't be around me. What is so difficult about whatever, whatever, whatever. But it was always something that I was insecure about. It made friendships and relationships really difficult. And I never even had a reason why. I just knew that my beingness was a lot. It was intimidating to people. And I've learned that that, again, is a power. Not being scared of that and actually embodying that, walking into a room and saying, yeah, I am intense and you will feel me. That is divine femininity. Do you think Gaia cares? Do you think Mother Earth cares if someone is scared of her natural disasters? No. No. There's also a necessity to remaining connected to your emotional vastness, the complexity and the depth of your emotions, and the power of feeling and allowing that to be a constant part of your day, being in tune with your feelings and what they are telling you. Emotional intelligence. Divine femininity is also impossible to control. It is impossible to control, and that is why for centuries, the masculine has tried to create a narrative where we are easier to control. This is why I always find it to be so funny when we talk about the feminine energy in a submissive way. There is nothing submissive about true divine femininity. There is nothing submissive about the true feminine power. Convincing us that we must be quiet and submissive, not too expressive or dramatic. They were trying to make us into the easiest slaves that we could be, knowing that they only exist because we came first. Let's say that again. They only exist because we came first. Gaia's story is a perfect example of this. Gaia was birthed from chaos itself, was self-generating feminine creation, created mountains, the sea, the sky, created gods and goddesses, created all kinds of things, only for one of her creations, a man, to imprison or attempt to imprison an entire population of that creation, just because he was scared. People can do some diabolical things when they are scared. But y'all can stay scared, to be honest. At this point, y'all can be as scared as you want, okay? Because we are not controllable anymore. We're not doing it anymore. And to be honest, it breaks my heart how long that we have gone believing that bullshit. How long we have let the lesser energy, which I know there's no one above the other, there's no hierarchy in the truth of it all. I understand that. There is a necessity for the balance of the duality, period. Okay? And there's something to be said about the power of the creator energy, which is the feminine energy. And you know what's interesting? That as I have been learning more about Gaia and Aphrodite and all of these other brilliant feminine deities and beings that I really feel are guiding me at this point in my own personal feminine transformation, I feel like their essences, their energies, these beings, these deities are even more active now. We need all of the divine feminine help that we can get right now. So yes, I learn about these energies. I dive deeper into understanding their origins and the truth of their essence, but it also goes deeper than that for me. I really am worshiping these beings. I really am worshiping them. I am honoring them. I'm calling on their name when I feel the need to do so. I'm also an earth sign. I'm also a Virgo, so naturally I already do feel called to this Mother Earth essence, connecting to nature as a living being, and a lot of modern science and spirituality and the bridge that connects the two. We talk about Mother Earth not so much as a being, but as a representation that all of Earth is a living, breathing organism that is constantly interconnected and communicating with itself and us. It's this understanding that our environment, our ecosystem regulates the balance of our humanity, the balance of our life experience. There's even something called the Gaia theory in modern spirituality. It's a hypothesis by someone called James Lovelock, I think. But it's this concept that Earth behaves like its own self-regulating living organism. And I know that's true. I come out here and have daily conversations with the trees, and they talk back to me, with the birds, and they tweet back to me. I know that I am constantly in communication with the earth around me. I love that the earth is a tangible representation of the abundance and the magic that we are working with on an energetic level constantly. There are a lot of different ways that you can worship this energy. There are a lot of different ways that you can set an altar to Gaia. Some ancient worshiping practices looked a lot like pouring libations into the ground, burying your offerings in the earth. They would use things like grain, honey, and milk. Some would even sleep on the ground for visions and in-depth dreams from the astral realm. Some cultures even do underground rituals, which I believe looks a lot like burying a person, and having a very intentional ritual that goes with that, which I think is really interesting. But I'm not burying myself underground. Sorry about it. I do come out here and ground myself often, though. I am often laying on the grass, barefoot on the grass, anything where it is directly my skin connecting to the earth. There is a healing vibration when you do so, not just scientifically speaking, but I think also because Mother Earth loves when a person appreciates and intentionally connects with her in that way. I'll set an altar with fruits or pomegranates, to be specific. I think that's one particular symbolic fruit that is often used in her worshiping practices. But really and truly, when it comes to a worshiping practice, when it comes to a ritual, that is such a personalized thing. I found a lot of the way that I have developed my own rituals has been entirely intuitive. Very little research, very little specifics. There's no specific spiritual practice or culture that I pull from. I just pull from my heart and what comes to me in the moment. Like it really was randomly one day where I was like, you know what? I want to worship Mother Earth with intention. And that is what opened the door to a relationship with feminine deities and learning more about them. The feminine energy is begging you to wake up to your power, to allow your anger to propel you. That's why I feel like there is so much climate change and environmental issues happening. I think Mother Earth is pissed. I know that there are real scientific environmental reasons for things, but on this channel, in my world, we focus on the woo-woo reasons, okay? And I know for a fact that the anger of the planet is being expressed in natural disasters, in completely inexplainable situations that are occurring all across the world. Wild climate experiences that we've never documented in all of scientific history. That is an Earth that is suffering, not just suffering as an organism, but as an energy, as a being. I think climate change is our last warning. I think things like climate change is Mother Earth, is Gaia herself saying, hey, y'all fucked it up. Y'all are messing things up, and I'm mad at y'all. Y'all gotta change. And so she's literally shaking things up. So I think we can take a page from that book. I think we can take a page from that book and become the tornadoes of our own lives, the hurricanes of our own environment. Make Gaia proud, honey. I love you, and I certainly love you.